88 county boards of elections operate smoothly on a bipartisan basis without many issues coming up. We on occasion have problems, but those are usually more out of personal animosity between board members than they really come from a partisan point of view or a confusion about what the law is point of view. Oftentimes we will send those back to them and say, we think this is best if you work it out yourselves, which is sort of an admonishment to me, from me to them, saying, stop the silliness and do your jobs. But we will get a dozen or so a year, more in a presidential election year, perhaps, but not a lot. And usually they come from, I can tell you the boards of elections they're going to come from, because it's usually based on the personalities of those boards.
Your predecessor, in at least a few instances, refused to seat board members for reasons that she would outline. Have you had instances where you have a recommendation from a political party and you've chosen not to seat the recommendation?
There were some cases where I've removed people for violating the law. There was a case in there have been a couple of cases where people I didn't seat because they had previous legal violations, and there have been cases where the one most notably was in Mahoning County, where I didn't initially seat a member, but then when I got a chance to have a personal visit with them and got the reassurances that they understood what their responsibilities were, then I did seat them. But it's not common for me to do that. Mm-hmm. But when there are problems, the law does provide for the Secretary of State's ability to do that in exceptional cases.
Where you removed more than one board member from a specific board. Is it a majority of the board that you removed?
I did in Lucas County recently, because they give new meaning to the word chronic problem, and were given dozens of opportunities to fix themselves. And
did you remove the entire board, or was it just
three? I removed 3 members, suspended 1, but then reinstated the 1 that I suspended. And amazingly enough, in the month or 2 months since that happened, we've been relatively problem-free, thankfully.
Mark asked if you could wave a magic wand, on the election side. How about on the business filing side? If you could wave your magic wand, what kind of changes would you like to see that would either make...
Well, I don't know if I have a magic wand, but I have something close to a magic wand, which is technology. And what we're doing to make it all, to move towards a complete online system is working fantastically. If you're going to talk about going a bit deeper, if we wanted to lead the nation in the number of new business filings that happen, we would have to reconstruct ourselves in Ohio, much like Delaware has. And what that would entail would be to create a business court system within our state, where you would have judges that are very familiar with business law. That's all they handle. They handle business law cases, and that would make Ohio more inviting for those kinds of transactions. Delaware funds a large part of their state government through business filings because they have such a friendly business environment with a strong history of precedent in business law with business court, a business-based court system. So if we were going to go a step further and we really wanted to do that, that's how we would what we would probably need to do to take it to the next level.
Is your technology in your office sufficient now, or?
We get there every day. I don't go out and hire a bunch of these contractors that other secretaries of state have had great problems with. We build this internally. We don't have huge budgets. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it, so we use our existing staff to build this thing piece by piece, and it's worked very well, both with our election system and with our business filing system, because we want to have the expertise to know how to do this. We don't want to be at the mercy of some outside vendor.
I think I read you had 582,000 absentee ballots sent out, or
Yeah, well, they'll be sent out next Tuesday.
how's that? That's about the same number as last year, then, or
Well, there's no apples to apples comparison with this, because when I became Secretary of State, I was the first one ever to mail out absentee ballot requests to the entire state, and that's never been done before in a gubernatorial election cycle. So we have nothing to accurately compare it to, because you can't compare it to a presidential election. I think because you have about 5.7 million voters in a presidential election, 3.7, 3.8 in a gubernatorial election, and we'll be probably struggling to hit that number overall this year because of the lack of interest at the top of the ticket and there being no U.S. Senate race.
Do you ever see a day when election day disappears completely? That it's all done online or by
Well,
mail?
it is. Election day has disappeared, other than it's a deadline. It's not. We have 28 days of voting in Ohio. You can
But
vote
you ever
from
see
home.
it when there won't be?
Well, you need a deadline. You need a deadline. Well, understand, if the latest court ruling was not, if we didn't win that, we would have had to have the same system that we have now forever, because that's essentially what that lower court ruling said, and which is silly. You don't want to do things the way you've always done it forever. Technology will change, and I'm sure elections will change in the future. But 1 out of every 3 voters voted absentee in the last presidential election. Most of those by mail. But there's still a large group of people that like to have this day. I mean, I think it's a special day in America. It's a really special thing where everybody goes and they know that this is the day that we pick our leaders, and you should celebrate that and be part of it. And a lot of people enjoy that, and I hope that tradition is retained in America forevermore, because I think it's what's special about democracy in America.
How's our voting turnout compared to other states and other countries? Are you paying attention to that? Or?
I couldn't give you an international comparison
well, I know it's not
to
as
it.
good as some countries.
Yeah, the voter turnout. I'll give you. This is a stat that I think a lot of people will be surprised by. In 2004, in that presidential election, we voted on Tuesday, one day. That's it. In 2012, we voted for 35 days.
Okay.
More people voted in 2004 when we voted on one day than they did in 2012 when we voted for 35.
How, you know what the percentage was?
I don't know exactly, but it was more people. And so more access is not generating better turnout. I would say that the contributing factors are always going to be, is there anything that compels someone to come out and cast a ballot? Is there a hot race? Is there an important issue? Do they feel like it makes a difference? But I would also suggest that, being the swing state that we are in Ohio, that when there's a presidential election here, everybody knows it, because the ads start in May and they don't stop until November. People almost become worn out or desensitized to it because it's going on, in my view. But also, when you spend $100 million on elections, telling people how awful all of the candidates are, why would you be surprised that they didn't believe it and think that there's nobody worth going out to vote for? And so those are the factors that I believe influence this. I think that we'll have lower voter turnout in this election because the candidate for office running against Governor Kasich has had so many troubles, and then even his own party is not excited about him. And so that's when you don't have a U.S. Senate race, when you don't have a gubernatorial race that's competitive, it gives people fewer reasons to get out there and feel energized to vote. And I guess I will try to encourage that to be different. I think that there are one stat that I often like to use where I share to help people understand how every vote matters. There were 43 races in the general election of 2013 that were decided by one voter tied. School levies, mayor's races. There was a state rep race decided, I think, by 7 votes in 2012, 2010. There are a lot of, every vote matters, and there's more than just the race at the top of the ticket that matters. And those are the things that can contribute to voter turnout.
So you just think it's voter apathy and access has no bearing on it?
Well, again, I'll reiterate, there is an element of personal responsibility that's required. I've yet to hear somebody explain to me what burden anyone has placed in front of them that does not allow them to. I mean, look, we send something to your home. If you just literally sign your name and provide your driver's license number or your last 4 digits of your social security number and put it back in the envelope and drop it, we'll deliver your ballot. I mean, I jokingly tell this story. I said, what do you want? Would you like us to hire a government worker to deliver your ballot and then send that government worker back to pick it up and deliver it for you? Well, we do. It's called the post office, and that's what our absentee ballot system is. It's that easy, and so no one has an excuse.
Okay, everybody set? Anything else you want to add?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and would value your support of the work that I've done and the work that I aspire to do. Thanks.